I'm super happy to be here this morning. I mean, in case you joined us for Wiley the Boat Series, get seated. We're here for business now. From now till the end of the show, my guest will share his life story with us. I mean, there are bits and bits you can pick in there and add to your future, shape your future the right way. Now, for the sake of my first-time listeners, Wiley the Boat Series is YFM's innovative radio programming content to develop the youth and provide inspiration to all our listeners. Stats reveal that Ghana's population is young, with about 61% being 30 years and below. Now, the International Labour Organization, ILO, Youth and the Future of Work Survey shows that about one-third of the youth in emerging and developing countries like Ghana view their future work life with fear and uncertainty. YFM is Ghana's #1 youth and urban station with year-on-year dominance in radio programming, according to the Geopoll. We clap for ourselves for that. We therefore deem it a responsibility to add to our bouquet of creative and informative content, hosting leaders and achievers in various sectors and industries in Ghana and beyond to bring hope, meaning, development and leadership coaching tips to our vibrant listeners, followers on radio and across digital platforms as well. Our guest on the Wiley the Boat Series today is a political activist who believes in enhancing the rights and opportunities for the youth, first and foremost, women and disadvantaged in the society, and is a firm believer in social justice, self-determination, as well as Pan-Africanism. Back in 1996, he contested as a parliamentary candidate on the ticket of the Convention People's Party. Ivor Kobina Greenstreet is the 2020 presidential candidate for the Convention People's Party, CPP. We very much appreciate your presence on the show, sir. Good to have you around.
Very, very happy to be here.
And let me just say this, I mean, for the sake of our Facebook people, if you're watching us now, I wish the cameras could be tilted towards what I'm seeing over there, because he's a part of the National Rifle Association, GNRA. He decided to bless us by bringing one of the air rifles. I mean, you might want to describe what we have on there. How dangerous or not dangerous is that?
Well, not dangerous at all. This is what you call an air pistol.
An air pistol.
Okay. Very, very simple to use. Uses harmless pellets.
Okay. So it doesn't use bullets.
Doesn't use bullets. Use pellets.
Okay.
Okay. And this particular device is for shooting at a range of 10 meters.
Okay.
Okay. And it has this tiny target that you have to concentrate on to be able to hit your target, and it gets scored according to how close you get to the bullseye. So I thought I'd bring it along to show you.
How long have you had this?
Oh, this particular one I've only had for about a year.
Okay.
It's a new device for a new Olympic category of sport. Okay. That some of my colleagues were saying I should try, but my particular area of speciality, that's with a far more dangerous device.
Dangerous one, right?
That is a shotgun.
A shotgun.
Which is used for what we call Olympic trap.
Okay.
That one, you line up the field. The field is in front of you, and beneath the field there's should I say a kind of trench or bunker. Located in that trench or bunker is a device which ejects what they call clay targets. Okay, it's like a disc.
It's like a disc. Yeah.
So these discs go out at various different directions, at high speeds, at 45 degrees, to the left, to the right, and forward, and then you're required to shoot and hit them. Okay.
I think I see
that one. You use these. This is
you came with that.
I came with this one. Yeah,
I think it's quite common in England, right? I watch English movies and you see
the United Kingdom. They practice it quite a lot, but it's also an Olympic sport.
And they shout when they.
Yes. Bull. Well, that one is when maybe they're out in the field.
Okay.
But this particular one is arranged as a sport. So you have different people. I think they have about 5 or 6 stages. So you shoot once, then you move to the next one, then you move to the next one.
Wait, just educate us a bit further. What does it take for one to join this particular discipline? I mean, can anyone go in and say, I can shoot?
Yes, you can. We have a federation. It's called the Ghana Shooting Sports Federation. And even though that's not why I'm here today to promote that, I'm happy to promote it. And I'll make sure I give a number that they can all WhatsApp and find out more about what they do. One particular sport that I think the youth would be interested in is what they call target sprints.
Okay.
We've been doing a lot of that of late.
Here in Ghana?
With that, here in Ghana, yes. And with the target sprints, you run around, let's say, the distance of 400 meters. It could be an Olympic track, let's say. 400 meters, you stop, and then with an air rifle, similar to this, but more in the shape of an AK-47, but it's still an air pistol, and you shoot a target. Then you run around for another 400 meters, shoot the target again.
So you run and get confused, and then you
you run. Right? You have to be panting, So you have to be fit, and also then be able to stop and be disciplined enough to be able to shoot the target.
I mean, let me just go off track a little bit. So people who win this particular discipline get what? They get enrolled in the army?
No. I mean, so there are national and regional competitions, maybe not here, but around the world.
Okay.
I mean, what I enjoyed about the shooting sports. I mean, I got into it maybe when I was younger, because a friend of my father's, an uncle, he used to take us as kids to the back of Ivor on weekends, and that's what he was interested in, and we used to follow him. So once in a while, we would, he would give us some tips and train us, So later on, when I was doing my law in the UK, I, went to a few events and, decided to take it up a bit more often as a hobby.
Yeah.
But it was later when I, was back home many years ago, and there was a particular friend of mine who at that time was, working here in Ghana. He's not Ghanaian, and he was very, very into the sports. And so with him, we formalized it more, and he formalized it more. He's the president of the association.
Oh, no.
And what is interesting, and what was interesting to me particularly, and most enjoyable, is that when taking it seriously, it meant that there were so many opportunities for traveling. So, I mean, I've now been to so many countries, competing in so many events, and they're fun events. It's not, it's not something that. Yes. So, that is one thing that I always encourage, certainly my children, and whenever I meet, nephews and nieces and other young people, that apart from, let's say, your studies or your work, if you have other activities and hobbies which you can pursue further, yes, then they're the things that lead into so many other areas where you can experience so many different things and meet so many different people. I mean, the number of people who I've met on these trips, from all parts of the world, who are in so many areas of activity, business people, academics, who are all obviously grouped together because they have an interest in that sport.
Exactly.
But there are so many other activities that people can get involved in, and it means, you get an opportunity to travel,
make some extra cash,
meet a whole new group of people, get energized, get excited, get healthy.
Wow.
If you enjoy beer, you can enjoy your beer too.
You gotta put all that in there. Anyways, we're gonna revisit that sports talk in a bit. I mean, I have so much interest in that. I was a basketball player back in school, so I clearly understand that. But I mean, there are a lot of things around the sports disciplines that we have here in Ghana. I think we can touch on a separate day. But we just want to find out deep inside who Mr. Ivor Kobina Greenstreet is. Let's just take it from the genesis, as always. Let's begin from the early home environment. What was it like being a child? I mean, you were the ward of two professors. I mean, I have friends whose parent, maybe one was a professor, and that life was there, and you had two. Tell us how it was like growing up with these parents.
Well, number one, you're very fortunate if you're I think everybody's fortunate to have whatever parents they have, but when you're a child of an academic, number one, you tend to find that they have more time for you, because straight away they have terms when they work, so automatically that whether it's research or not, during maybe summer vacation or Christmas vacation or
their full time,
they're around, and obviously if they're academics, they're interested in learning, they're interested in reading, they're interested in literature, and so so you tend to be in an environment where exchange of ideas is important. You tend to be in an environment where discipline and learning is important. You tend to be in an environment where you get to learn to be criticized. So one thing about growing up with them is that, you get, blasted on a daily basis. Not because blasting is bad, but because self-examination and self-improvement only comes out of your own self-assessment and critical analysis. So they would always refer to, is it Plato or is it Socrates or Aristotle? I can't remember one of them. One of those philosophers used to state that at the end of every day, you are required to look at yourself in the mirror and determine whether what you did during the day, what you accomplished during the day, are you happy with what you accomplished, and what you would change or try and improve to do the following day. It doesn't mean that every day your day has to be full of important things. You can decide your day is empty of just relaxation and you're just thinking and relaxing. But if their day is also full of other activities, you have to assess it. And so I think we grew up in that kind of environment where different points of view were encouraged and stripping your arguments down to the barest minimum and letting you know that you're wrong or right, were fundamental aspects of our conversation. So it was interesting, but you were always 5 minutes away from your next blasting.
I think that sounds like a good platform for self-discipline. I mean, you're exposed to knowing what goes on around you, as you mentioned, reflecting on yourself, and then knowing that, okay, this is right for you, this is not right. But then the very moment you decide to switch, cross the line from what is right to what is wrong, there's the next coding coming your way.
Yes, exactly. Wow. And also growing up on campus to Legon campus, obviously it's an environment where there's no such thing as ethnicity or tribalism, because the whole university is full of people from different parts of Ghana, different disciplines, different levels of expertise, and therefore it's a different kind of environment. And you also benefit from, therefore, interacting with so many different people with so many different perspectives. So that also helps you to always have an open mind and be ready to search for different creative and innovative ways of doing your stuff.
Take us back to your time, growing up as an Accra boy. How different is life? Put aside technology. What were the sources of fun back then? What would people do on a regular day? What would you do on a regular day? If you're not in school?
Regular day, we were playing ball, riding bikes, moving around, having fun with friends, or, doing your homework late, or catching up. Because really, those days, we never got injured, but we went on mobile phones. We didn't have mobile phones. And we didn't, really have any of that kind of social media stuff. But we used to have a really good time every day, just outdoor activity. A lot of it was outdoor activity, running around, riding around, soccer. And then, we were also given a lot of domestic tasks to do, which we had to complete, cleaning up the house, washing the cars, sweeping, all that kind of, and part of those periods were also a bit difficult because there were some economic challenges in the country at that time. So we used to spend a lot of time, growing, okra and doing farming and stuff in the garden, and not Operation Feed Yourself exactly, but
grow and eat it.
Yeah. It wasn't easy, so we had a lot of those enduring tasks to perform.
Tell me about your early days in the UK. Apart from the early life you spent here in Ghana, you were exposed to life in the UK at an early stage. As a student, how were your early days like in the UK?
Okay, so initially it was quite difficult, integrating yourself into a different environment, people with different cultures and perspectives and habits. But, one thing you realize about human beings all over the world is that they're naturally good, and they all aspire to the same things, and they all want to succeed for themselves, but they also want the group and the collective to succeed. So you end up making, friends for life. You end up getting the opportunity for so many different kinds of experiences, and it's all those things which shape your views and perspectives, and actually make you feel like, making sure that everybody has similar experiences and similar opportunities. But it also comes with a lot of hard work. Qualifying, as a lawyer over there required a lot of hard work and a lot of study. And I'm happy I did it, and I still today have friends, who we converse from time to time. Yes.
Wow. Life in the UK was obviously fresh for you. I mean, as an individual, what were some of the things that you found very fascinating? I mean, things that were not familiar to you. Life in Ghana was different. I'm sure there might have been particular things that you experienced and you were like, okay, how are these even happening here? I mean, tell us a little bit about that. Things that you were fascinated about in the UK.
Okay, well, there obviously the negatives and the positives. The negatives are, those days you would. You tend to find that people's behavior can be a bit strange, maybe on public transport, the way they behave. Everybody is in a mad rush. Everybody's jostling. Everybody's, nobody has time for good morning or yes. Everybody's moving fast, which also teaches you a lot about, how to get what you need and how to have a plan and be effective. But what you realize also there is that how highly organized the place is, and how the system is geared towards creating opportunity for all its citizens, especially those who work hard. Definitely, they'll see a reward. And how the system works in that regard. Nobody's necessarily cheated easily. It's a system where you don't need connection to get a job. If you work hard and you have the qualifications and you go for the interview, you can get it. You get it. You don't have to go through the back door and find out whether somebody's uncle there needs a call from somebody to assist you to get the opportunity. And you realize once you're ready to work hard, you'll get the training, and the system, will reward it. It won't be easy. You still have to work hard, but you can see that everybody is ready to accept that is the system. At the same time, you can also see the system takes care of people who, for whatever reason, are not able to take care of themselves. And so that kind of system is the kind of system that, most countries around the world should try and, replicate. And that's the way you build a society where everybody cares about each other, and yet you're rewarded for the hard work, either in success or financial reward or whatever it is. So I think, for instance, over there, if you're a citizen over there, what I observed is that if you're unwell, you go to a doctor. When you go to the doctor, you don't pay 1 pesewa. After you see the doctor, if you're going to buy the medicines you need, you don't pay 1 pesewa. If you're going to the hospital, if the doctor sees you have a condition which needs you to be referred to a hospital for them to do further investigation, you go to the hospital, you don't pay 1 pesewa. You see the consultant or whatever it is, you don't pay 1 pesewa. You go for your x-ray, you don't pay 1 pesewa. And then if later they're going to organize you for an operation, 3 months later, you don't pay 1 pesewa. That is a system.
Did you enjoy your stay in the UK?
Oh, it was okay. Yes, I had a good time, and I had fun, and they had ups and downs. It's normal, but it's a tough place to be, especially when you don't have the money, and you're working hard.
Did you get into any form of activism during your days in school abroad? If you did, what got you into it, and what influenced your disposition back then?
Well, yes, we were in a group of individuals who were very keen on human rights law and people getting protected for any infringement of their rights. We engage a lot of activities in that area, and so that always made me very committed to believing that the law is something that should work, and it should work for individuals to make sure that they are able to exist in society without, having their rights infringed upon. I mean, if you look at our situation here and how, our police handle the ordinary citizen, to me it looks as though the less you have, the more you're harassed, which is terrible. You go to a police station, you're supposed to, have some, if you don't have any money in the back of your pocket to try and facilitate whatever problem you have, then, you're going to have a problem if you're having a tough time. If you legitimately own a piece of land here, to the extent of you even have a land title, and somebody's doing something funny on your land and trying to take it away from you, and let's say you're just trying to have recourse to the normal processes of the law, but the person you're dealing with maybe has some land guards or some power behind them, then you'll find yourself struggling unless you're able, because the police won't even be able to really, you'll find that they'll be finding reasons why they can't help you. I think I have a problem with those kinds of situations.
So those were the things you were involved in fighting against back then? Yes. Okay, all right.
And so those are the things that we are very apparent here. It's almost as though, if you have the links, and if you're a bit wealthy, then somehow you're able to escape all these problems and toils. But if you're just a regular person who is working hard, doing their best, but has a problem, if you don't have those things, then you seem to have, you're rejected and you have difficulties, and that's not how to create an equitable system and society that really rewards effort and rewards creativity, rewards innovation, and that's really what we want to see. We want to see a meritocracy. I think you referred to the Ghanaian Dream, because we are such a wealthy nation. Oil, gold, gas, cocoa, timber, diamonds, bauxite, fertile lands, access to water resources, strong human beings, wonderful climate. I mean, really, there's so much more we could be doing for our populace. And number one, if we just reorientated our thinking, reorientated our approaches, and made the system, more available for those who are ready to work hard. So I think the sky is the limit. I think we really can reach for our dreams. I think we really can build a beautiful future for our nation,
all of us,
and make some changes and build a future for the youth, particularly, because I think it is difficult for them to find a way forward, and very, very frustrating. So I think we need to give more clarity. We need to know to make the way clearer, so that everybody knows that if they pursue this direction, then yes, they will be rewarded for their untiring efforts,
regardless where they come from, their social status and all that. Anyways, so were there any individual organizations that influenced your thoughts? I mean, just thinking all this information that you've given us at any point in your life. I mean, did you have like a mentor or role model, to put it more succinctly?
I wouldn't say I had one particular individual who necessarily influenced my thought process, but because I'm always observing my environment and reading and studying very carefully, I just observe other people's situations, conducts, difficulties, trials, successes, to also guide me on how to go about taking the fundamental decisions that will help take me forward. But these things, you have to understand, are not overnight successes. It's about daily building blocks. It's about mental building blocks. It's about psychological building blocks. It's about physical building blocks. And all of those don't just appear in one day. They require incremental and daily advancement. And you will see over a period of time that if you remain committed to the cause, one day you'll realize that yes, actually, all those things that I thought were tiring and annoying actually have led to the creation of a foundation upon which I'm standing now.
Wow. How much of a family man are you? I mean, who is Ivor the father?
Oh, I'm a good family.
Did he try?
Yeah. My son is now 24. I think 25. You see, I got his name right, age wrong. He's 25. My daughter is 23. So they're also now at that stage where they're also looking to see how they can also build their futures. They're just doing their national service and all that kind of stuff. So I'm at that, you go through different phases with the kids as they grow up. The phase one is you're playing games and having fun and, teaching them and guiding them. Then as they become young adults, you're also trying to see what you can do for them to get their own learning experiences so that they see it is their achievement and their success, not something that the old man has gone to go and say, I've opened this door for you. No, I wouldn't do that. What you have to do is show them how to make it on their own and see how they can succeed. So I'm constantly interacting with them in the same way that my 87-year-old mother today will still even call her son Ivor. There are four of us.
Okay.
So I'm the third out of four children. And up to this day, the old lady still, I think, spends her time calling her children in various parts of the world to give them directives. So I think once a parent, always a parent. Yes.
That's beautiful. That's very beautiful. What would you describe as, some of your most challenging moments as a father? And the lessons it's taught you. You have a busy schedule. You're involved in a lot of things. Combining your life, your personal life, and your life with a family. What are some of the challenges in there?
Oh, well, I think my greatest challenge would have been when, I, sometime in 1997, had a car accident, which is why, I use a wheelchair. I had a car accident on Tema Motorway.
Tema Motorway?
Yeah, I was on Tema Motorway. I had a burst tire and then found myself out of the car by the side of the road.
Wow.
And being an absent father for about a year when I was in hospital, that was quite tough.
You're hospitalized for about a year?
Yes. Not about a year.
A year.
If you want, I'll tell you the story.
Tell us.
About 2 weeks even before that incident, a friend of mine, a good friend of mine at that time, came to me and said, Ivor, the way I'm seeing things, I don't know why, but I'm not seeing things clear. You need to be careful. I feel like something bad is going to happen. And I said, really? Oh, okay, I didn't know why. And he said, okay, well, maybe I'm wrong. And then strangely enough, the very day, and I think this is about listening to your instincts or Holy Spirit or whatever you wish to call it. So the very day it even happened, that day, strangely enough, I promised myself I was not even leaving the house and I wasn't going to go anywhere at all. And I even had a bit of a problem with my car that day. But later in the day, a friend called to say I should come to town for a quick meeting to solve a problem, some legal issue with some clients at that time. And so I wrongly decided I would go. I went to go and change cars close by and went not in my car, but in a different car. Went to that meeting, dropped some people off later elsewhere in Accra, later in the day, and then very, very late in the evening, found myself going to be dropping some people off at Tema. And that is when the incident occurred. So immediately the incident occurred, I remember saying to myself, so that's why I should have listened. So God being so good, the next thing which happened, which I knew was not supposed to be happening, is a taxi had been arranged to move us from that point to Tema General Hospital. And I remember sitting in the taxi knowing that in the condition that I was in, I'm not supposed to be sitting, I'm supposed to be lying flat. Yeah. When you have that kind of injury, you don't move the body. So the next thing I remember is being at Kolebu for about a day or so. One incident I remember is that there was no light. So all I remember in a flashback is being carried up. The lift wasn't working, so I was being carried up some steps. Staircase on a stretcher. Then the next thing I remember is that time you didn't have Circle Dubai. You had the regular Circle. And there's some railway line. And all I remember is being in an ambulance and going over the railway line and feeling, as you go over those lines. Because I was so fortunate, and the reason that I'm sure that's the reason why I'm alive today. Otherwise, rest assured, I'll be buried somewhere, maybe also cemetery. Is that my elder sister, who was a doctor abroad, or is a doctor abroad, recognized the nature of the the injury that I had. And so they arranged for a jet or air ambulance to come and pick me up. I was taken out, so about a day later, just me on this aircraft, just me, one person and 2 nurses on this aircraft. They took me to hospital abroad, and about a day after or 2 days after I arrived, that is when the real show started to begin. Something called ARDS, Assisted Respiratory Distress Syndrome. That means your lungs stop working, your stomach stop working, everything stopped working. So basically you're in a coma, you have a machine breathing for you. So I was on that for like a month or 2, then gradually came around, blah, blah, blah. Then they had to fix some other parts of my body, my shoulder, my hip and stuff like that. So I was there till like a year, I think September, October of the following year, before I came back the year after that. So all those things, being an absent father at that time, and then trying to rebuild your kind of professional life, your psychological, mental life, and family life, and all those things were quite a challenge. But strangely enough, because of the way it happened, and because of my belief that I was even saved and rescued, and that I'm so shockingly lucky to even be alive, it to me was a blessing, and it's been a blessing ever since. I've never had cause for complaints.
Throughout that period of recovery, I mean, you spent a year in hospital.
Yeah.
Apart from you appreciating life, apart from you knowing that you were saved, as you said, were there other things that you picked from that moment, things that you plan on doing? I mean, restructuring your life at that point, as you said.
Oh, you try to. But when your body is weak, every day is just like a daily advancement. Mm-hmm. But as you get stronger, yes, you have your desires, you have your dreams, but obviously everything is deferred, mm-hmm. Because you don't want to get ahead of yourself. Mm-hmm. So you just take your time, and then gradually, over a period of time, you're able to water those desires and dreams and intentions, and then as you water and you provide them with the necessary food, then that particular plant grows in your heart and in your mind, and then it begins to flower, but it takes time.
And so you came back to Ghana different.
Oh yes, I think more in tune with the divine. Maybe always trying to walk in the right path. Mm-hmm. Stay close to my instincts, stay close to the inner voice. Not that I don't make mistakes. I still make mistakes. Yeah, of course. That's what the mistakes. It's part of human. Wow. So yeah, it's been a journey. It's been a journey, and we're still on that journey, and I enjoy every minute of it. Minute of it.
I mean, I tell you what, I'm just glad about the fact that today you and I are here, and we are speaking about your past experiences just to motivate. I mean, change somebody's life out there. I always tell my guests that Wiley the Board series is a miracle-driven show. You might not know which part of your story will touch somebody's life.
Well, rest assured that America's greatest president, okay, who they rank alongside George Washington and Abraham Lincoln, is someone called Ferdinand Delano Roosevelt, otherwise known as FDR. In fact, the only president of the United States who served 4 terms in office. I think it was after his serving 4 terms, although he died in his 4th term, that they changed the regulations to restrict it to only 2 terms. And at a point in time, early in his life, he was also rendered in a wheelchair, paralyzed through polio. So he became president of the United States whilst in a wheelchair, served his 1st term and his 2nd term and his 3rd term and his 4th term when he died in a wheelchair. And he was their greatest, one of their greatest presidents, who took them out of a Great Depression, who restored their society, who led them through the Second World War, who did so many great things to that nation, even though he was also a controversial figure. I mean, naturally, when you're a leader, you're not going to have everybody following you. So, when I look at lives like that, maybe I should refer back to the question you asked me earlier about people you can look up to. I draw inspiration from people like that. Obviously, at that time, it was different because the media and the public space was different. So they recognize that it's not about necessarily your condition that's important. And they recognize it's about your capacity and your intelligence and your ability and your honesty and your integrity and your drive. And so they did not focus on, the fact that this was his condition. You understand me? And so he launched something at that time that was called the New Deal for the United States of America. That was effectively the slogan at that time. And that's what even was an inspiration to the slogan that I used in the 2016 election when I was also the candidate for the CPP, the New Covenant for Ghana, which we translated into Akan, which is our Pamfufro.
Wow.
So, but this time is different. This time it's not that this is a political show, but once I'm here, let me use the opportunity to communicate to the others of your listeners that on this occasion is that a vote for CPP is a vote for yourself, and that is the theme. A vote for CPP
is a vote
for yourself. And the reason we have chosen that is that, ordinarily speaking, a person might say, "Oh, why should I waste my time voting for CPP? After all, it is NDC and NBP, which are the largest parties, and they're the only ones we should consider." But if you look at the kind of opportunity or society that they've been trying to develop and create over the last 27 years. 27 years we've been switching between NDC and NPP. What really have they been able to do with the wealth of this nation to create those opportunities for the people of Ghana? Yes, they've done something. There's some good people in both those parties, but they haven't done enough, and they're not offering enough quickly enough. So actually, the wasted vote is to vote for NDC or NPP. You understand me? They need to be given an electric shock. They need to understand that they can't play with the hearts, minds, and the futures of the people of this country. And I believe they are. I believe they're running operations which they use to give false hope and which they use to serve their own self-interests and the self-interest of their party members and sometimes even their family members. And so there's no other party that anybody else could really consider than the party that was created by one of the greatest Africans, has ever been known. Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, someone who believes in our culture, believes in the celebration of our capacity of Africans and what we can achieve on our own, who believed in the creation of not only political independence but started a journey towards economic independence, built so many factories, built such a great and wonderful direction for our culture and our festivities and our togetherness as a nation, bring this one country together. And so I am happily a member of the Convention People's Party. Other people may join parties because they see them as vehicles for their own self-advantage. But for me, there's no other party that I would wish to belong to apart from the party which has a symbol as the Akoko. Yes, and what it represents for African unity, what it represents for the respect of the African, what it tried to achieve for this nation. And we have to continue reaching for those stars, reaching for those wonderful things, reaching for those things which inspire us, reaching for those things which will take us and bring us together as a nation and take us forward rapidly and quickly to our destination. And that's a kind of shift and change we need now. That's what the youth need to do, and when they look deeply within, that is the kind of shock they need to give the new Patriotic Party and the NDC. That's why I say the vote is for they themselves. It's for a better job opportunities, better internet, better development, better health, better education, better infrastructure. Not all of these kind of vibes you get from these two large parties. Yes, of course, they'll give you those vibes because they have control of so many resources that give them the capacity to do that. But if you look deeper, look beneath the surface, it is rather like, I believe the situation now, let me give an example. When you have an unfortunate situation, let's say, of a boyfriend or a husband who is maltreating his wife or his girlfriend, and he's been maltreating the wife for a long time now. Every time the wife says, because she wants to keep their family together, she says, okay, she'll forget about it, she'll pray upon it, she wants to stay together. And then sometimes whatever happens again, and the family members will come and tell her, oh, no, you relax, let's stay together. Let's do it for the sake of keeping everything together. Meanwhile, all this time, she's toiling with her own unhappiness within. The day after all those successive decisions to stay and endure the pain and endure the hurt, the day that she decides she's walking out, nobody, not her family members, not her friend, will ask, will let her come back. And so that is a kind of change that we would wish people to resolve deeply and inwardly. That is a kind of electric shock that we're talking about. Proper electric shock, with a high voltage, electric shock.
I want to find out at this point. I mean, growing up, what was the career path you desired to get on?
Okay.
What did you want to become growing up?
President of the Republic of Ghana.
That was what you were set out for?
Yes.
Wow.
So that is why even on my hospital bed, I think even some relations or uncles brought to me, and not in those days they didn't have CDs, we had videotapes. They brought me videotapes of FDR Roosevelt. Okay, I didn't know why they did it at that time, but I'm assuming they were trying to inspire me. You know, maybe I didn't communicate that as my intention.
But I mean, they knew where you were.
They were
running to exactly,
yes.
And so they
But
realized.
I was always interested in law. You know, although these days all my legal colleague friends call me a lawyer on holiday because they don't see me. They don't see me in the office.
You've touched on law, though. Let's speak about the motivation to pursue law as a career. What motivated all that?
Well, you know, law is also philosophy, okay? Because the type of law that governs your state and your nation is grounded in a belief system of what you want to achieve for your country or for the environment in which you exist. And so once you're interested in jurisprudence, which is the philosophy of law, once you're interested in ideas, once you're interested in a thing that governs society or commercial contracts or interactions between human beings, then you know that law is all pervasive. And therefore, it is something I was always interested in doing. If you do it, you have the opportunity to also, if you work hard, it's a very good career in terms of revenue generation, in terms of there's so many things that you can do with it. And it gives you, you know, a really different kind of training, a very highly disciplined training, which for me makes you have the capacity to be able to contribute in so many spheres of life. And so I would encourage anybody out there who is thinking about doing law to do the law. Hey!
Between us, I don't have to say it.
Hey!
You understand? How did it mean, or how did it feel being called to the bar in the UK and in Ghana as well? I mean, it's a lot when it comes to.
Yes, I was humbled by the achievements and really happy to have been able to have done that. It allowed me to get some additional experiences, working afterwards briefly before returning, because the area of expertise that I was involved in was more the legal aspects of international finance. So those are the things that helped to shape my perspectives on commercial law and so many things that we can even utilize to contribute to this nation's advancement. So so when are you starting your course? How far have you got?
So between you, myself, my programs manager, and of course now all the listeners, since they know, I picked my forms in the beginning of the year, but Corona came up, so I had to put a pause on it. But I still have.
Did you say Corolla or you said Corona?
Corona, we've packed it. It's Corona, and so I mean it's still a part of the plans. We might attend to that a little later.
Okay, where Gimpa or
yes, Gimpa.
Okay. Yeah, Gimpa is also quite costly. You see, and those are the kind of things I think the state needs to look at, how to make many of these things more accessible
to everybody.
It's so expensive, thousands upon thousands, and apart from the time you have to commit to it. And I really feel that at least that's where the state needs to intervene. When you see be a genuine person making an application. Yes, it's good that a lot of these private operations offering the courses, but I think there should be a contribution.
Exactly.
You know, okay, we will subsidize 50%, 40%. We'll spread over a period of time. And if they know that you're also doing that, they can give other assistances in terms of other aspects of your life where there's some, reduce some cost, burdens on you, whether it's accommodation, whether it's other kind of, assistance to go abroad, to further
study materials.
Yes.
All of that. What are some of the high points in your career as a lawyer, and how have they shaped you into the Ivor we know today?
Well, as I was telling you that, now most of my friends, because I'm on the political train, most of my friends are saying that I'm a lawyer on holiday. So I think if I was talking about high points, let's talk about high political points. Maybe being re-elected as the candidate of the party was obviously a high point, even though we're a bit late in the day. Being elected as a candidate last time too was also a high point. But you realize that you get over the high point really quickly, and you realize, oh my God, it's work again. It's another form of work. And so we have 2 or 3 months now to really attempt to communicate our message and try and get into the maybe we have to do employ some very, very skillful tactics.
Okay.
Maybe YFM will help us out.
Let me look into that.
Maybe since you haven't started your course, we can take you on to give us some advice. We need you badly.
What are some of the other business interests you've engaged in over the years? I mean, apart from the sports that you mentioned, you did law as well. You're obviously involved in politics.
On
the side, I mean, what other things?
I do a lot of stuff. So I tend to try and find niche areas, or areas where you can see there's potential market for certain products and certain things, but it's not easily detectable or obvious. So that once you do a bit of research and you get into that area, then you get in at the ahead of the curve, and you can, make some money, make some profit. And ordinarily, sometimes it's good if you have some things that you do yourself, solely yourself, and some things that you collaborate with others and share the burden. But once you make sure that legally speaking, it's set up right, so that there are no arguments further down the line as to who gets what share based on what investment, whether that investment is in time and energy or in money. So one particular area that I've been involved in of late, which has been quite successful, is that with a group of friends, we are all coffee drinkers.
Okay.
And there is some wonderful coffee that comes out of the higher mountains and plateaus in the Volta region, which from time to time we have visited and seen. And so we set up a company called Gold Coast Roasters Limited. The coffee is harvested and then brought to the factory, which is on the Spintex Road. We imported a roasting machine, a coffee roasting machine from Turkey. Tons and tons of the stuff is roasted and then packaged and is being sold in all the stores in town. And we've been amazed by how successful it's been, as a product, and obviously that's a niche area. But that's not the kind of coffee like Nescafe. It's not. Nescafe, you just put it in the cup and pour the water.
This is roasted, so you
this
have
one
to
that you use that. You put it into that
coffee machine,
that French press. The thing that you push down. So
you just mix it.
So I'm surprised how many people are buying it. So there are lots of niche areas that people can look at. In terms of refining and processing and making those products available. There are lots of small funds that are out there that support projects like that if you do the research, particularly in that agricultural area. So let's say if you're good with cocoa, you have some great ideas to processing it into chocolate and with different kind of flavors and different kinds of aspects to it. With cashew nuts. There's so many things that can be done. If one is really creative with the packaging, creative with the selling, the whole approach. And now with, I think Instagram has become a business place.
That's like a business hub for social media. Just put it on there and then you're going to get your clients coming at you.
Yes.
Anyways, now your journey into politics started with your parliamentary ambition on the ticket of the, Eswal People's Convention Party.
Yeah, so that was in 96. So that time I was still on my feet. That was the year before my accident. So that time it was a Great Alliance.
Okay.
So that was my first interest. But as I indicated at that time, there was an alliance between two forces, and so therefore I had to withdraw because of kind of a parliamentary scene. And so the following year, 97, is when I had the accident. So I was out of the action for the 2000 elections. In fact, 2004, I only happened to be, I think, going somewhere for a conference, and I bumped into one of the party hacks, at the airport, and I said, and we're in the constituency right now. YFM is located in Iowaso, West Wagong, and I asked, Prof, who is contesting on the ticket for ZPP in this constituency? He said, actually, we don't have a candidate. And that's when I was going through the psychological battle, saying that, can I really contest this seat in a wheelchair? I mean, will I just look like some kind of idiot? What am I even doing? Do I have the guts to do it? And so I just had to dig deep. I told him, yes, I'll do it. I traveled at that time. Came back and said I'll do it, and then I had to dig deep psychologically and emotionally and say, okay, then I'm going to go face and endure this battle. And God being so good, I didn't win, but I made a real impact in the party's fortunes. I think the party had never got over even 300 votes in this constituency, and I managed to get about 4,900.
Wow.
And so that's what a lot of the young guys in the party said. Then let's do something together. Let's clear these old folks out of the party. So we formed some group called Positive Action Group, and we created hell within the party, and we managed to knock out some of the old folks. And that's when I became the general secretary for the first time in 2007 and Kumasi. So, it's been bit by bit by bit since then, building on that, linkages with the grassroots, linkages with the party, and that's what's been able to take us to this point that we have received so far.
After serving as the General Secretary in 2007, again in 2011, you became flag bearer of the CPP after a resounding victory over...
2011 I got repeated as a secretary.
Yes.
The 2016 was when I became the candidate for the first time. Yes.
And then after, let's then talk about your overriding theme, the Ghanaian Dream, where any Ghanaian who is hardworking and desires to be lifted out of poverty. You touched on it earlier. Should get their life story secured and the future as well. Since we're going into an election this year, has the focus shifted? Is it the same thing? It's changed.
It's changed, but it's still fundamentally the same. If you look at the first president of the Republic of Ghana, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, he was a son of a petty trader and a goldsmith. But through dint of hard work at an early age and then through school, at a point in time, he was able to study hard, take himself out of the Nzima area, all the way to Accra. Those things only occurred because the system allowed those who worked hard to be able to rise to the top. I don't think today you're going to find a situation where the society we have created would give an opportunity for the son of a goldsmith or a petty trader to become Prime Minister or President of the Republic of Ghana. It will not happen. So how do we replicate a system that allows that dream of every individual, whether from Sandema to Mu, wherever it is, Secretary also, to be able to just work hard and rise through the system and get to the top and serve his or her nation and come up with such vast, wonderful, visionary ideas to transform, the whole nation for the benefit of its citizens. And so that's the kind of Ghanaian dream we were talking about, the Ghanaian dream that allows you to access, some funding at a fair price. You can't go into business if you're borrowing at 25, 30%. No system succeeds like that. And other countries, what they did is that they protect their citizens and give them the opportunity to do that. The United States of America, which claims to be the great citadel of free markets, protected its markets for about 100 years, from 1850 or so to 1945, had the highest tariffs and protections and in the world. Similarly with the United Kingdom. Of course, at the end of the day, at some point in time, if you remember, even slavery was legal. At a point in time, even child labor was legal. But it is human beings who govern those states who decide those things were wrong. So economics is about, which is why it was called that before. It wasn't called economics. It was called political economy. When you go and study it, you're not going to study economics. You're studying political economy because it's the politics which controls the economy. And the politics that we have to have here is to produce an economy that gives possibilities for the reward to people who are creative, who are innovative and hard work. Therefore, your banks and your Bank of Ghana and your systems are supposed to provide opportunities for you who wants to do law. How can you combine that with working and making money? For a student who is out there, a young person who's out there, let's say the person didn't go to SSS or have the opportunity for this great SHS. But
what is alternative routes?
What opportunity can be given to that person? Because if now we're deciding that indirectly for someone to be able to have free SHS for a period of 2 or 3 years, we could value the amount of money it costs per person. So why can't we then say, for those people who missed out on that system, you're entitled to 30,000 Ghana cedis. Not in cash, but we'll give you the equivalent of 30,000 Ghana cedis for you to pursue a course, for you to get a skill, for you to get a grant, for you to get a subsidy, for you to do whatever business you can. And then you who might be working on the street, you who might not have an opportunity, you who might be a young student with a great idea, straight away you know that you're linked into the system which is based on a risk and reward process. And I believe that way we've got so many people out there with so many great ideas, with so much energy, with so much skill. All they need is just a little push and a little lift. And that will transform our system. That'll mean there'll be so much business activity, there'll be so much creativity, hope, innovation. And that's what the country thrives on. That's what builds a nation. That's what drives us forward. And those are kind of things that we believe are the bedrock and the belief of the capacity of the African and the Ghanaian to manage their own affairs. So we're working hard on coming up with the details of many of those things, and we know that when we're out there, they will never forget that a vote for CPP is a vote for yourself.
We're telling this in the political show. 58 my apologies for that. Mr. Ivor Kobina, Greenstreet in the building. Why Leaderboard series. We're learning so much from him. And we still have a lot of things to talk about, by the way.
Why do you call it Why Leaderboard series? Why
Leaderboard series? The Y is the Y in the YFM brand, the youth brand. And Leaderboard series is basically a board where leaders, people who have achieved a lot in their various fields, will come and jot down things that people should do. And they don't just write it on the leaderboard. They've lived it. And so people share practical experiences on here and get people to pick it. And so instead of, picking a book about leadership or picking a book about motivation or picking a book about business, why don't you just tune in for just an hour
it's a great
or
show.
two?
It's a great show.
Listen to the leaders themselves. Let them tell you how they did it. And then you pick from it.
I listened to some of the other important persons you've had here, and I think it's a great show.
It's a great show.
Yeah, fantastic.
Thanks for the endorsement. Shouts going out to you, Mr. and Mrs. Ejudi, and K-Stan, CEO of K-Stan Constructions and All Good Music, Tracy. Good morning going out to you as well. Guys, we're live on Facebook, Y107.9 FM. Make sure you share the video now. Share it to your friends and families to also get it in as well, okay? Having trekked through the length and breadth of the country over the years, what in your opinion, and I need a very honest opinion on this, what in your opinion is the biggest challenge to the social and economic advancement of the young people in Ghana, and what sort of leadership is needed to turn the situation around? I mean, you've touched on a few things that accumulated a bigger problem, but personally, what do you think is that one thing that, if tackled, will change the face of our youth in building the nation?
Well, direct access to opportunity, to be able to uplift themselves to greater heights. But you rightly say, I mean, going around the country, when you see a group of kids having to spend time walking for 2 or 3 miles just to carry buckets of water on their heads, to supply to their mother or father, at their village. So, clearly that's a big waste of time, and that is not something that we should be proud about in the 21st century. When you see clearly highly intelligent individuals, because when you meet them, they're highly articulate, highly intelligent, highly motivated, but the system is just not giving them an opportunity to advance on the simplest route in their ladder, whether that's through business or whether that's through furthering their education, or whether that's through any opportunity whatsoever. Then you know that something is not working, something is not right, and that leads to a lot of frustration. It leads to a lot of hopelessness, and it can lead to people doing things that ordinarily they wouldn't want to do. So how do we create that system? How do we create that meritocracy? And that is by having a committed and trusted leadership, a leadership that has the energy, the vision, and the ideas to provide that kind of hope, and to be committed to providing that clean system that is not about connection, it's not about corruption. Exactly. I mean, look at you. I'm sure. But you said Corolla. When it's over and you're back on the law, I know that maybe we'll cross swords in court.
Problem. We'll definitely stay in touch.
Yes.
Now, apart from being an avid fan of both Asante Kotoko and Liverpool, I think you barely hide that from all of us. You don't play with that. You talked about your the shooting as a sport and all that. How you developed
but look at what's happened to our soccer in town. I mean, it really has gone through a rough patch, and so that's another area where so much is needed to be done. For because Ghanaians, a large majority of Ghanaians love soccer.
They love soccer.
And here we are. We spend all our time celebrating foreign teams, and because of that whole episode with the former GFA situation, and then obviously the corona again. I think for 2 years now, so there's been no real soccer activity in town. So and that is something that can build up if we had a proper, well-organized system, right from the courts, right from school, right to the top. I mean, we have such fantastic soccer players that we have produced over the years who have succeeded around the world. So what is our hope for the future? Because of late our top teams have not been making it. So look at what Jamaica have done with their athletics, and what Usain Bolt and all these top athletes. And we used to have athletes here winning tournaments like that, at the Commonwealth Games and all those kinds of things. And there's so many other sports. And like I said, sport is a route for so many young people to have additional activities which can allow them to travel the world and engage in
some extra cash.
You need to do more of your basketball.
I will. I mean, I'll get back to it. I can't really play it professionally now, but it's definitely going to open a few.
But they have an association and stuff. They travel around the world. They're always going to tournaments and that kind of thing. They're so enjoyable, And I think one of the things that is important for the youth is that opportunity to travel. And I think the state also should provide the opportunity to travel. It's not everybody who's going to travel who won't come back. There's that fear that as soon as somebody gets a chance to go away, they won't come back. But it's tough over there as well. But what we want is skills. What we want is exposure. What we want is opportunities, and those things can be gained whether by traveling to Japan, Indonesia, China, the United States, Sweden, Portugal, or wherever it is in the world. So that's a system we also need to encourage to get people to have that exposure, and I'm really committed to doing that.
Still on sports, I mean, we touched on your parachuting, exactly, interest. We didn't really go deep into that. You told us about how it all began, but at a point, you represented Ghana's black snipers abroad,
yes.
And you were the first African to participate in the international parachuting event. How did you transition from shooting as a hobby, as you mentioned, to competing at that level, and how did it go for you? Tell us about the day you went into the challenge. How was it? What position did you take? How was it feeling like, pretty much?
Oh, it was a tough situation. Even taking the device, taking a device like that out of the country is itself even a whole process. You need letters from interior, this, that, before you can take it out, clear the weapon onto the aircraft, arrive at the other end, go through another long process, clearing the weapon out of the aircraft, getting to the tournament. Everybody's fixed and focused, and you are there as a novice. My name is Greenstreet, but I already felt like a green cat over there. You go there and everybody's, they're used to it. They've been doing it before, but you know, human beings are good, so they end up giving you tips, giving you advice, and you go through the process, and then you realize that even though at the moment when you're in it, it is so tense and very burdensome and troubling and hard for you to cope. After it,
yeah.
When you reflect on it, you think, God, I'm so happy I did that. Oh, well, I really want to do that again. You know, I enjoyed the adrenaline. I enjoyed the experience. Oh, this happened. Oh, that happened. Oh, why was I so scared before I went? Oh, why did I worry myself so much? I'm so happy that I took that risk and I was courageous enough and that I did it. And so these are the kind of things that you know, one has to always encourage people to do. I mean, not to take obviously silly risk, but to always be ready to take the plunge, or you know, to always be ready to take that leap into the dark. It's not everything that will always be clear and open, but once you have that desire and whatever difficulties you may have, once you can overcome them and take that plunge, you know, God will always be there, or the system will always be there to catch you and rescue you.
Speaking about risk, at a point I heard you nearly got into trouble with your scuba diving. A small experience with sharks. I'm not very sure about that. It must have been a very terrifying experience. I mean, share the story with us,
okay,
for the sake of my listeners.
So it was after the last campaign, you know, after the 2016 campaign. So as I was telling you about the law and, you know, meeting so many people around the world, I had a friend who was from the Bahamas, and or is from the Bahamas, and they were having some activities over there sometime in early 2017, some political activities. So he said, "Oh, you're a politician, come over and support me in these activities over here." So I said, okay, why not? I'll combine that as you know, a form of activity. So eventually I got there. You know, a tiny, beautiful island, you know, of Nassau. So many wonderful things to do. But also one of the things there, the sea is not like our Atlantic Ocean here.
Deep blue sea,
Deep blue sea. You can see right to the beautiful white sand beneath. So I went out on a boat and just to do some scuba diving, swimming underwater, fantastic, you know, with all the devices, you know.
The gas tank,
everything, with the fishes. So that was fantastic. And so that day, when I finished, and we were coming back to the jetty, and one of the guys there said, "Ivor, you know, tomorrow we're going for a shark dive. You want to come along?" You know? And I thought, okay, so that sounds like fun, you know. Even though it was scary, I said, okay, why not? I'll come along. And so he said, okay, we'll have to give you a bit of training because that dive will go a bit deeper, you know, so come a bit early so that we can teach you how to regulate the oxygen. And don't worry, we'll have people with you because of my disability. They had two guys with me, one Brazilian guy, one Venezuelan guy. I think they're just working there temporarily, but they were expert scuba divers. So we went out on the boat. You go further out, and then you go under. So it wasn't a total surprise. It's because like I knew it was going to happen, but I didn't know it was going to happen quite the way it happened. So you go for the dive, and then they have an old form of shipwreck, which is quite far down, and then all of those. I think there are about 12 of us underwater. Deep down, you are holding on to the side of this wreck, okay? And then one of the expert divers swims down with a cage full of raw meat, you know, or whatever it is. The sharks.
To go and entice the shark.
And then they all the sharks appear, and then they start swimming around the wreck, and then the diver will start having this long fork, taking the meat out and feeding them, and they're all in a frenzy. You know.
And this is while you guys are standing
right there. They come right past your face, over your head. They come from all directions, moving around. you know. So I mean, I knew, yes, I was going for a shark dive, but I didn't know it was going to be like that, like that, you know. So I became quite scared.
At that point, did you remember the Ghana vibe in there? I said, be fearful.
I tell you, bro.
Wow,
it was easy. And so anyway, but obviously it's an arranged thing because they video it. I mean, I have a video of it and everything. So the guys there taking pictures. I mean, for them it's like normal. So there are people who go there regularly. You know,
and this was a totally new experience for you.
Yeah. So you know, when we got up and we got back into the boat and got back to shore, they asked me, "So Ivor, you know, we're doing another one next week. Are you going to come?" I said,
"No." I'm in trouble now. Wow, sharks.
Yeah.
Big fishes.
Yes.
Wow.
But obviously, they're different species, so they know the ones that maybe attack. And
I heard the bad ones are the great whites.
Yes. So I understand. But it's like, you can be with dogs and they'll tell you this dog doesn't bite. The one day to bite. So
it's just how we treat them, right?
Exactly.
It's just a defense mechanism.
Oh, well, it was. Anyway, I believe, I don't know what the energy levels are like underwater, but whenever I'm underwater, or with fishes and stuff like that, when you come out, my God, you feel so. I think it reduces your weight. I don't know what chemicals are in the water, but you come out feeling so good, so strong, so healthy, so virulent.
Do you eat fish?
I eat fish.
You go and visit them and you come. That's just, by the way, 020222207 to get your questions in. I'm waiting for them. I have a few questions for you, by the way, from our listeners. This one came in earlier from Salati, who's almost always texting us. Messaging here says, some say the CPP is struggling with its identity. Most members of the immediate family of the founder are at odds with the party. How do you intend to mend these cracks within and position it as an attractive force for the voter population?
Well, you look at the current government and you realize that even in 2016, the current president, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, cleared out his own chairman and general secretary in the middle of an election year. If you look at the National Democratic Congress, you'll see that one of its most fantastic members, very strong, highly dedicated, intelligent, wonderful woman, in the form of the wife of the founder of the party, Nana Konadu Agyeman Rawlings, who contributed so much to Ghana after 19 or 20 years in office, after a contest with the former president, may he rest in peace, Professor John Evans Atta Mills. When she lost, she decided to go and form her own party. Different things happen in families. Wives and husbands sometimes are married, sometimes they're divorced, sometimes there are problems between brothers and sisters. So these are voluntary associations. The important thing is the principles, the policies, the programs, the visions, and the ideas of those who are steering the affairs have. And I believe that those who are at the helm of the affairs have the capacity, have the drive, have the ability to move it forward. And so we will reach out to everybody, of course, but the show is still on the road and we will make it.
The show is still on regardless. Message here from John inside Agboba says, Rev, good morning. Please ask Mr. Ivor Kobina Greenstreet that knowing Ghana for the past 4 decades, it's been dominated by the MPP and NDC. What are the plans set aside for CPP to overturn that condition or add their total vote to a particular party to win the election? And has he ever thought of giving up running for presidency? That's your boy John inside Agboba. 2 questions in one.
Yeah, John. So number one, it's not 4 decades. It's 27, 28 years since the 1992 Constitution came into effect, obviously in 1992. And so, my brother, you yourself should take a look at what has been achieved thus far. We had 8 years of so-called probity and accountability. What happened? We had 8 years of so-called golden age of business. What happened? We had 4 years of a better Ghana and then 4 years of Idebi Keke. What happened? And we have had another 4 years of or whatever it is the ones currently feel that they've achieved. And ask yourself as an individual, what have they achieved for you specifically in terms of your own capacity, your own dreams, and the system that you would wish to have for yourself and for all of your fellow Ghanaians? And we believe that yes, something has been done, but not enough based on the kind of capacity and strength that we have as a nation. So much more can be done and so much more far quickly. And it is definitely, therefore, the Convention People's Party that can do that. That's why we have, for you, the slogan of a vote for CPP is a vote for yourself. Because if you vote for CPP, you are voting for yourself. You're voting for better opportunities, better quality of life, better education, and better hope for your future. And unless you do that, these two larger parties will continue to take you for a ride by convincing you that actually, if you fail to vote for them, you're wasting your vote. Rather, voting for them, since they haven't done anything for you, is a wasted vote. So, my brother, I urge you to give them the electric shock that I was telling you about earlier on. Proper one. This one there, proper one.
There's one in here from Lukman Evergreen Mumin. Our very own Lukman Evergreen Mumin says, what are your plans for the creative arts industry, and do you think there's a future in bringing in enough revenue through this, arts department?
In fact, creative arts is one of the biggest focuses of what we want to shake up. We want to, reduce taxation there and create so much opportunities in those areas. We have some ideas of there being festivals in the film, in the music, in the arts, at least once a quarter every single year. We're going to be making a lot of training and funding available. You should know that this is the party that created, NAFTI and the National Film Institute and so many of the institutions that now we have at the basis of our society that offer these cultural and festivity opportunities. And that's one of the biggest areas for employment generation. And there's so many Ghanaians who have fantastic expertise in that area. So once we can give them access to training in the areas of videoing and software and all the entertainment aspects that they need to also feed into that industry, we believe it's a vast industry. If you look at Hollywood, if you look at Nollywood, if you look at Bollywood, this is an area where we in Ghana have so much creativity and so much talent. And we are going to be providing massive focus and massive drive and massive energy and funding in those sectors. And I believe that it will lead to a complete transformation of what we want to achieve as a nation in that area.
Now, of politics and all that, I mean, still on the creative
arts. Politics?
Yes, just a minute. Just a minute. Do you love music? What kind of music do you listen to on a regular day?
My music, my listening to music is irregular. Sometimes the music I'll listen to is silence.
Okay.
And that is when maybe I'll get proper relaxation. So, I like this song. I don't know whether it is old school. By Whitney Houston. I Love the Lord.
Okay.
You know that song?
I've heard it.
Okay, sing it for me.
I've heard it. I've heard it. I think.
But Stone Boy, all these guys. I mean, they're all good. They're all good artists. I mean, I like them. Kid Arthur and co. They're all great artists. So I listen to all kinds of music.
Which of their songs can you sing word for word? Since you.
Hey, none of them. Hey,
you just mentioned Kofi Kinata.
No.
If I play, you can't sing. You can't sing a word.
I don't want to spoil your show.
What is success to Ivor, Kobina, Greenstreet? Your personal definition of success. How big is success to you? How do you explain success to the next person?
For me, success is when everybody is happy and also successful. You can't be successful on your own and everybody else around you is unhappy without hope and opportunity. What kind of success is that? You won't enjoy it. You'll just be sitting with people who are around you, be wondering why you have something and you have success and they don't. So for me, success is about everybody being having a good vibe, having a good feel, having a good opportunity, feeling happy, having the capacity to also fulfill their dreams, however difficult it may be, whatever problems they may have. And then you can share each other's fun and happiness and success together. And therefore, in your success is somebody else's success. And then it all feeds together and brings one big bright light rather than one individual light in a sea of darkness.
That is not success.
Yeah.
Right. Finally, we're offering you this platform to, reach out to the youth of this country. Share a word or two on empowerment to inspire every young person listening to us now.
Well, I would like to divide my response into that too. I'll give a political response.
No problem.
And then I'll give an empowerment response. The political response is that, well, I've told you, I think at least 3 or 4 times on this wonderful show already, please give the NDC and the NPP an electric shock. A proper, not 240 volts, a proper electric shock. Proper one. Let them feel the proper one. Okay, that's point number 1. When you give people an electric shock, they wake up and they realize you are there. At the moment, they don't realize you are there. They're just using and abusing you and giving you the vibes for you to feel as though they have something good on offer for you. They don't. So give them that electric shock. When you give the system an electric shock, when you disrupt the status quo, when you shake a room and move everything around, that is when it can be recreated and reshaped and reorganized to suit you and what needs to be done for you. And that is when the youth can be truly empowered. But if the status quo remains the same and you're just happily plodding along with the situation being the same as it is, then don't expect any different situations or better results for you. So let us shake that system up. And therefore, in shaking that system up, let us all collectively come together to determine proper institutional methods of empowerment, not just for one group of youth or for one set of people, but for all Ghanaians, so that we can all feed off each other's beautiful and wonderful energy, so that everybody can have an opportunity to achieve their dreams and pursue their goals and achieve their skills that can all come together to create a society that is exciting and caring and progressive for all Ghanaians. And that is the kind of empowerment we have to look for. That is the kind of empowerment that works as an individual. It's the kind of empowerment that works as a family. It's the kind of empowerment that works as community. And if you can stretch it further, it's the kind of empowerment that can work as a nation. And that is what we have to seek to achieve.
All right. Thank you so much. I mean, Ken, can we have you back in here, please? Sorry. Thank you so much, Mr. Ivor, Kobina, Greenstreet. I mean, it's been an experience, man.
I've
learned so much
from you. I've been so happy.
The coffee bit, we'll have the conversation after.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, some of us love coffee low-key.
Okay, I'll send you some.
See, I had my coffee here.
I'll send you some.
All right, so it's 21 past.
I was watching a video. Yesterday, I was watching a video about all the benefits that coffee has for you in terms of your enzyme levels, in terms of your blood sugar ratios. Apparently, it clears type 2 diabetes. I didn't realize I drink 3 or 4 cups of coffee a day. It clears type 2 diabetes. So, the number of
These
people...
are things people should talk about.
Yes. I'll send you the video.
Yeah, for a while, people have been super disconnected from coffee. I mean, a lot of myths around it. The fact that, if you drink it, it's going to reduce your blood level, blah, blah.
Yes.
All these things should be explained. All right, so for coming through, YFM and Global Media Alliance wants to say a big thank you, of course, Wiley the Boss Series, for coming to talk to the youth and all of us.
Okay.
But we have a special gift for you, presented by Joy, Lindsay Joy, one of our presenters. She has this for you with the Ghana flag behind you.
Wow.
This is very beautiful. It was made by Memories on the Wall. Yes, kindly show it to the Facebook lovers.
Okay.
Thank you so much for coming through. We appreciate you so much. I mean, we're rallying behind you in empowering the youth.
Electric shock.
Not 200 volts. Thank you so much. I hope you love it, by the way.
Yeah, it's very, very nice. Very, very nice. Very nice.
All right. Guys, there you have it. Wiley the Board Series done and dusted for today. Lawyers in the building is actually going to leave. Anybody you'd like to say shouts to, send shouts to people listening, your friends, family members you'd like to say hi to?
Oh, they should all mind their own business.
All right, so that's a song for you in the back. It's his favorite. It's called I Love the Lord.
This is YFM.